It's Friday, December 15th, and we have a question for you. What are you going to get for Christmas? Oh, we're going to dive deep to a lot of things. It's another episode of Anytime with Ken and Alden. I'm Ken. That's Alden. Hi, friends.
Hello. Hey. Hello, everyone. I wonder what Hunter Biden's getting for Christmas. Something that I don't think they're that concerned about, but I would like to know because he's having a rough year.
He's having a rough year. Maybe a rougher life than he should have. He maybe brought that on himself there. Hey, everybody. We're live. And Alden, I'm going to, up top, I have these new headphone pieces in because I like wearing my radio headphones because I believe you need to monitor your show. If any broadcaster tells you I don't need headphones, question them, push back on them. But my ears physically hurt. So the show sounds mixed a little different. I'm trusting on your radio producer ears to tell me that everything's okay.
So far, so good. And you're looking very, very modern.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I've always pushed because like people don't love the look of headphones. I get it. I do. But now I look like a rock drummer. Now I look like Lady Gaga if she was a middle-aged history teacher.
Which is a look that I think she could definitely pull off more so than either of us ever could.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got Jared checking in, Michael checking in, Andrew, Eli. Hello, friends. How's it going? I just realized I was awful about sharing this on Twitter and everything. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing.
Oh no! Hey, look, this is one of those shows. This is essentially a radio show. We're staring at cameras, but I might take a sip of water. Josh McCook is in town. Of course, I used to host the afternoons with him, and a lot of people think it's related. Truth be Anytime was your title. It was your dream to have a show called Anytime. I wasn't just doing a play on afternoon slots.
No, it's like, so like a little bit of like lore for as the kids say, the lore. The kids, I'm one of the kids. We both independently really loved time-based titles. We both loved Last Week Tonight's title. You had afternoons. I had thought about Anytime. You had Your Week Ahead, sort of like always in the back of your mind. And so it was, a nice synergy moment as you and I have had before.
Yeah, synergy. Indeed. So welcome to the show. It's our look at news, politics, world events, social events, pop culture. We like to have some fun. We like to go deep. We like to get angry. We like to answer your questions. You can follow us online on socials at Anytime on Air. Don't forget, as we always say, you're live here watching me on the Ken Napzok YouTube channel. Hey, that's me. But we do have an Anytime with Ken and Alden channel with clips and rebroadcasts, and we're building that over there so we can kind of, eventually jump off this platform to our own one there. But hey, this is a monetized channel, Alden, so we got to play to pay.
That is true. There's always a money element to everything, as much as some people would very much like it to not be that way, including myself. That's just the truth.
I've been dealing with money, late stage predatory capitalism. I've been dealing with that a lot this week there. So that's where we're at. Also, as we like to say every week, we do have a section built for questions and answers, direct questions. We're going to take them all through the show, but we have a concentrated question period at the end of the show. If you have a super chat that wants to get our attention and support the show, that will be where we kind of answer those ones, grab your other questions, and pull those through. So a lot of fun today. Alden, though, let's dive into it. We got a lot to get to, and I got a live Force Center show today too. I got a lot of airtime, so I'm going to shut up a little bit more today, but we got a lot to say. But we start the show as always with one of our favorite segments here. Alden, what Ben Affleck are we?
I'm going to cut right to the chase here. We are scornful Ben Affleck. We are Ben Affleck with the wrath appropriate to his Batman, Daredevil, angry Bostonian reputation. First, just look at the disgust for our YouTube listeners. Look at the disgust on Ben Affleck's face. And it captures to me a lot of what we're going to talk about politically. It captures to me a lot of what we're going to touch on in terms of the feeling of expectation and obligation of the holidays. And I actually want to pair it with a quote, something that I haven't done here. A quote from Carlin, late great George Carlin, who actually played Ben's father in Jersey Girl. So they knew each other.
That's right.
And George said, people will say to me sometimes, well, what are you so angry about? What they think is anger is a real contempt for the choices that my fellow humans have made. I just feel betrayed by the bullshit in America that's all around us. And that to me is what you see in that Ben's eyes.
What's the so true. What is the context for this photo? Because this does feel like me in December right now. What's the context in that photo? Where did you take it from?
I believe it was from an article that was a movie premiere, like just event stuff. Okay. But Ben is, as we've touched on previously, he has an ability or maybe an inability to mask the truth when he's had some of these things.
I don't know. Yeah, not a lot of truth being masked there. A lot of truth coming out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that one. That is what we do. We do what Ben Affleck are we? Sonic changes to get us going here. But we have got a lot more to get to. You see our headline today is the Bidens versus GOP. We're going to talk a little bit about that, some other big cases. And we got a conversation about Christmas coming up. We're going to say goodbye to a really beloved actor and talk about layoffs during the holiday season. All that's coming. But first, Alden, let's do it. Let us get to the news. Here's a look at some of the headlines making the world spin this week. Score win for moral panic in Texas this week after the Lone Star State Supreme Court, which most certainly meets at a Longhorn Steakhouse after Sessions, ruled against 31-year-old Kate Cox in her attempt to be legally allowed to get an abortion that her doctors felt was necessary to secure her survival. On December 7th, District Court Judge Maya Guerra Gamble ruled that Cox could be legally allowed to terminate her pregnancy, one in which her fetus has been diagnosed with trisomy 18, a condition that causes heart defects and organ abnormalities that almost always ends in stillbirth or miscarriages. And yes, those who do manage to be born into this world with what is also known as Edwards syndrome have a less than 10% chance of survival past year one, and it's a year of pain and suffering. Yeehaw, a godly miracle indeed. And then there was the added bonus of Cox's health being in jeopardy because, as stated in her initial lawsuit, continuing the pregnancy puts her at high risk for severe complications, threatening her life and future fertility, including uterine rupture and hysterectomy. But no, God has willed you to press on and endure this hardship like a good soldier for Christ. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. After the district court ruled in her favor, Attorney General Ken Paxton, still facing a federal investigation for securities fraud despite being acquitted in his recent impeachment trial, and who, speaking as a Ken, I can confirm is definitely not Knuff, quickly stepped in and asked the state Supreme Court to overturn the ruling, which they did, though by this point, Kate Cox had left the state to receive the medical care she needed to, live, which had to be a real fun, lighthearted road trip. Hey, you want to stop at that Flying J for some snacks? No, I want to get an abortion so the dying baby inside me doesn't kill me too. The entire ordeal exposes spiritual, stubborn intentions of governing bodies and politicians in states like Texas who clutch their pearls, swear in their Bibles, and scream, "We're pro-life. We must protect the children," while keeping a woman from getting the potentially life-saving medical treatment she needs and wants. And for those in your life who keep claiming these women are harlots with scorpions between their legs that use abortion as slightly inconvenient birth control, Kate Cox is a married mother of two, wants to keep having children, and another thing that would be affected if forced to carry this pregnancy to term. She wants to make babies and raise a beautiful family in your charming state, and the Texas right would rather she go through with this little miracle of birth. And if she and the baby die, then it was God's will they die. It's the 21st century equivalent of trying to drown a woman to prove if she's a witch or not. The cruelty is the point. Here's to some healing and eventual peace to Kate and her family. And here's to Ken Paxton one day getting to hell and muttering to himself, "I've made a huge mistake." Your move, Supreme Court. This after special counsel Jack Smith looked to call their bluff by asking them to rule on the idea that NFT digital trading card salesman Donald Trump should enjoy some nice, warm presidential immunity in his upcoming trial, currently scheduled for March 2024. When the trailer drops for that trial, we'll do a reaction video to it. Smith's gambit is that Trump believes he has special privileges and shouldn't be prosecuted for any crimes committed while in office. And while we're talking about the office of the president, not cutting in front of the omelet bar line at Mar-a-Lago. The issue of presidential immunity might have been something that would always have found its way to the Supreme Court anyways, but Jack Smith said, fuck it. Let's settle this now so I can keep prosecuting this oaf or we watch democracy crumble. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of Trump and the idea that he can't be prosecuted, then the rule of law will vanish faster than hair dye dripping down Rudy Giuliani's face. With 3 justices on the top court in the land owing their seats to Trump and his minions, and Clarence Thomas most certainly not going to recuse himself from the process, it's a good bet that the Supreme Court sides with Trump, unless they all stop to think about the ramifications as suggested by many, many TikTokers. If Donald Trump can't be prosecuted for high crimes as the top executive in the land, then ergo, Joe Biden can't be prosecuted for any crimes he commits while in office, making any impeachment attempts rather toothless, no matter what your racist uncle says about the so-called Biden crime family. We'll provide any updates on whether democracy dies with thunderous applause. And yes, we'll get to the impeachment news, but the first match on our political wrestling card is Hunter Biden versus the GOP members of the House of Representatives. Biden skipped out on the closed-door deposition session with the House Judiciary Committee after they had subpoenaed him and for their questioning in their impeachment inquiry investigation. Instead of showing up, Hunter Biden held a mock press conference of sorts outside the U.S. Capitol building on Wednesday. The move could bring contempt charges against the first son, but his whole point was that he was willing to testify, but only in a public forum, so the world could see the Republicans' lies and lack of shame and decency in action. His words, I'm not saying Republican politicians have no shame here. Hunter Biden is just speaking the truth. Now, to be clear, being asked to answer questions in a closed-door session isn't abnormal nor proof of Republican malfeasance. As GOP members have repeatedly squawked this week like a murder of crows fighting over a discarded bag of fast food, Donald Trump Jr. was asked to take a bump of coke and sit in two closed-door sessions before Democratic-led committees. And to be even more clear, there's a lot for Hunter Biden to answer for, and with several indictments hanging over him still. He will. But his move here is one step towards exposing and challenging the Republicans' desire to only kick up enough dust to help their branding and not actually help or lead this country. And that was Hunter's point. Hey, I've done some bad stuff and I'm ready to stand for it, but none of it is worth an impeachment query on my pops, the president. But in our final story this week, that's where we are. Impeachment inquiry time. In a game of, well, you got to do it, so we're going to do it too. The Mike Johnson-led GOP House successfully voted to begin a formal impeachment inquiry in the hopes of finally finding enough evidence to impeach President Joe Biden. A political wet dream the Republicans have been having since Donald Trump got impeached twice. The final tally held at the party lines with a 221 to 212 vote. One of the reasons for the vote is that without a formal inquiry in place, it was difficult to bring people in to answer questions, even if subpoenaed. So instead of having more Hunter Biden press conferences on Washington, D.C. grass patches, even moderate Republicans who have struggled to see the evidence against the president emerge voted for the inquiry. It's almost like a network crime show procedural in which detectives just charge someone for murder in the hopes of finding out who did it. And I'm sure that would only happen on TV. President Biden, who had a busy week going public with the United States having differences with Israel over their approach to eradicating the world of Hamas and warning that their indiscriminate bombings were losing them favor in the world. In other words, hey, everyone's saying you're committing genocide in the name of justice, and I'm starting to think my friends are right. Responded to the inquiry by saying, instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they are focused on attacking me with lies. Instead of doing their job and the urgent work that needs to be done, they're choosing to waste time on the baseless political stunt that even Republicans in Congress admit is not supported by facts. And look, I think the president is wrong here. Republicans did manage to finally expel George Santos and create an opportunity for everyone to get the most just ironically hilarious cameos in history, not counting any by Jose Canseco. Look, even Matt Gaetz took time off from looking over his shoulder at any ethics investigations creeping up on him like he creeps up on underage girls to say that he doesn't think that House Republicans have enough votes to impeach the president. But yet this new clown show has begun. And if the Republicans' dreams come true, they'll be impeaching the president just in time for the next election. Now, that's the news, Alden. Anything you want to talk about?
Oh, man. What a depressing time. I just, it goes without saying that times are tough, but just to hear all of that so eloquently and hilariously written out is kind of disgusting. But I think what I want to hone in on here is Hunter Biden. I swear I will never vote for Hunter Biden again. A joke which I can't take credit for because everybody has said that. But it's just like, why are we doing this? And we end up in this runaround of, well, what about? And whataboutism is sort of the law of the land in some ways. And it's like, yes, we did go through similar things with all the Trump kids, except Barron. Love you, Barron, I guess. And then all of the, the married in ones too, like Jared. But like these, they were involved. They were given jobs. They were, you know, having international policy influence. They were special advisor or whatever, special counsel, whatever it was inside of their dad's camp. Hunter Biden is sort of you know, he's the president's son, so there's that unique lens, but he's not that much different from some of the screw ups at your own holiday get-togethers in a lot of ways. And so I just
holiday party. Yeah.
It's like, where is any type of standard to the point where this is just going to become sort of like the most boring, gross, wrinkly white version of like houses feuding in Westeros? It doesn't actually feel important, and yet so much rides on it. And I think that sort of contradiction in American life right now of like, this is objectively stupid and should not be. However, in its stupidity, we might define the times.
Absolutely. One for the history books indeed. And you can see how all the stories are connected in so many different ways from Jack Smith on down. It's this ongoing puzzle piece that, you know, or Jenga thing that's about to fall. And I'm with you. I always want to make sure, like I've read as much as the Hunter Biden stuff as I can take. And as he himself says, yeah, made a lot of mistakes, none of it good. And yeah, I know there's some thoughts of what speakerphone calls was Joe Biden in or around or on, and what's he saying. And I take this overall stance of if this is the game you want to play and you want to dig in and find it, do it. Because the difference between the parties would be is if you do find something that's actually factual and he is impeached, whether or not that it follows through, I think we'd be done with him in a lot of ways, right? It's the Al Franken thing that comes up a lot, right? Franken misstepped and a lot of done. Fine, you're right. I think a lot of Bob Menendez is the case, right? Yeah, got it, get it. Expel him too, not just George Santos. Where the other side is, here's a mountain of evidence, and you're going to try every way to circumnavigate that truth. And I think that's part of Hunter's parlay here, if you will, or not parlay, but his play is you know, let's do it. Let's put it all on the table. You want to go into me? Great. Got it. I'm going to stand before you. I'll do it. And by the way, every other person on the Republican side who tried to do the same thing, Donald Trump Jr. eventually did get there, but he didn't want to. You know, all the kids didn't want to. They refused at first, and this is a toothless subpoena, anyways. So I think it's an interesting play, but it was all political circus, but it's all connected, and it all goes back to this big issue, Alden, of Jack Smith's gambit, as we're calling it, of let's just do this, settle it. Can I prosecute this guy or not? Can a president commit crimes or not? That's the crux of it. Because if he can, then we're done here. And by that, I mean democracy. And that's how it all flows down into this.
Absolutely. Precedents are being crafted right now, or recrafted. I mean, do you remember a little thing called the Mueller report, and how that was going to be the salve that cured everything, and we were going to move on, and Bob Mueller, a Republican, was going to righteously stand, and what happened? For those playing at home, he had the report. He said, here's everything. I think it's pretty obvious what it says, but due to some memos from the 70s, I can't actually do anything. I need y'all to do it.
Get there.
And so if that's what we're working with in connection with what Smith's working with, in connection with what Hunter is, we are a fundamentally flawed system in terms of what accountability is. And it's like, look, I don't expect the people from the 17 and 1800s to have foreseen any of this, but it's just, at what point after things like you know, the Nixon presidency to now did we, or the Bush dynasty, which, you know, people say political dynasties shouldn't even exist, and I agree with that. So at what point did people not sit back and say we should probably establish rules for the job that is the most important? And that failing that is trickling out now when we are approaching the potential second term of the person in question is just logically bankrupt. Like, I think that kindergartners would say, but if he was bad the first time, then how come you didn't figure out how he got away with being bad?
Yeah, it all comes down to kindergartners. Kindergartners. I still call them kindergartners because that's what I thought it was as a kid. I thought it was my name. I was so excited that I had a whole level of school named after me. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you know, it's maddening, but it's important. It's really that ruling for the Supreme Court, if it happens. Which, look, again, it's this real. If you add in, you got the rule of law side of it too. If you're the party of rule of law, which, by the way, Mike Johnson needs to come. I even liked his quote I don't have it here, but he was like, yeah, look, we'll go through the process, and something's there, but we're the rule of law party. We gotta, if something's not there, we don't follow through. I'm paraphrasing at this point. I thought it was interesting. Whether or not they hold to that when they look under the rug and there's not much there, and there already isn't much there, we'll see. But yeah, just the idea of like, cool, you're the rule of law party. Your Supreme Court dominated by the rule of law party. Let's go on that. But also, cool, you rule for Trump and against this case from Jack Smith. Then Biden, what are you doing with Biden? And this is something I saw on TikTok a few times. My friend Ken Plume sent me a grant. I've got to look up this guy's name. I just discovered he has some great insights into it. It's like, it's this real, it's not even catch-22. It's like a catch-44. It's just so many twists and turns that if you side with Trump, you're unraveling so much, but also maybe shooting your own party in the foot with what they're trying to do with Joseph Robinette Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what people don't realize on very base levels is that when you have elements like the special counsels and special prosecutors, and when you have elements like the SCOTUS picks of Trump still active and will be active, they don't realize the years of effect that can have and the precedents that it sets. It's not just about the players at hand. Yeah. And I think I read somewhere a while back, and again, something I wish I could source, but a Supreme Court pick will have on average about 50 years worth of effect on a nation. So there is a very real chance I'll be in my 70s still dealing with whatever happens now with these screw up sons. and with these, can somebody break the law while doing this particular job, which is a question that is so asinine that it doesn't sound like it could be asked. And frankly, I don't think it could be asked in a lot of other places that are also free and democratic. Yeah, this is a very, very unique problem to us. Although I will say, Charlie Ashby in the comments making a joke about Zaslav. We should just let Zaslav buy democracy. The UK right now also having similar brushes with. Are we fascist right now? Is this a fascist nation? But could be.
Could be, and the fascists don't show up with giant fanfare. They show up in nice suits and ties with all these kind of cases and decisions and stuff. Yeah, it's scary, but also I can't lie. I'm fascinated by what Jack Smith has done, and I can't wait to see it. I don't want to just dumb it down and say I'm just watching it like a baseball game, but that's also how I process it right now. Like, yeah. I'm fascinated. I'm interested by it and all those kind of things. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll update you. And maybe we'll do a breakdown of that trial. We'll do a trailer reaction to that trial.
Well, honestly, we should. And I hope that somebody cuts it together. Maybe Jared can. Jared's in the comments. Jared, edit that footage together. You had a great comment here, actually, about so many of our laws of governance rely on good faith and just assuming people won't say the quiet part out loud and will at least pretend to play by the rules. The GOP got a taste of absolute power. Yeah. And something about absolute power corrupting absolutely has been said. No, actually, I made that up. That's.
Oh yeah, you made that up. First one. Yeah. Well, if only there had been movies that addressed this, but people just wanted to entertain. So there was no messages in any movies prior to 2015 is what I heard on the internet. I do want to talk a little bit about the situation in Texas that was playing out in front of it, because it's this, and I want to acknowledge too, one of the big problems in our country is that there's so many conversations about abortion that happen without women around. And I'm acknowledging you and I are two men discussing it, but I also think at the same time, the flip side of that is more men should be discussing the abortion issue, because we have a little something to do with it. And we're just kind of raised with this privilege idea that we're not responsible for a lot of the things we start, cause, or involved in. So this is our issue as well. So we can have this discussion now. And next year, when we expand anytime, when we have guests on, these are topics we'll revisit with the right voices around. But for now, you and I discussing this, it was just hard to watch in so many levels. But I made that joke, but it's so true. I was raised in this environment, this culture of abortion is literally only a moral issue. And I can get that take, meaning I understand. I was taught that it was used as birth control, that you shouldn't have sex unless you're ready because babies is the goal. And it's a miracle, all those kind of things. And I actually, when I say I understand it, I'm not, conceding the floor to that debate. I'm just saying, I get it, but that's not the case here. So why are you still fighting it? And I think that's part of the problem. Even DeSantis had he was like, we got some. It's a different thing going on out there. They couldn't come out and say it. Those who the right to life. This is a married mother of two. whose doctors has said, yeah. And then the ruling, for anyone that wants to poke holes in anything I said, the ruling was, well, the doctors didn't prove without a shadow of a doubt that she'd die. So we just got to see how it plays out in God's will. And that to me is their moral arguments just crumbling before our eyes. And I don't know, as you as a younger man who might have been raised with a different view on the situation, and abortion as medical care, not just a moral issue, what you take away from this week.
I will note about the DeSantis thing about how even somebody that abjectly evil and repugnant has that moment of hesitation, but will still not actually say, as Jared said in his comment, the quiet part out loud, because if he does even make a distinction, he'll lose the ravenous culty base. So that should be noted. But at the same time, you're right. It is different. It is different with the years between us about what has changed about the conversation, it being a medical issue, all that. I realized probably early in high school that, and this is, my belief, I'm not speaking for anyone else. I don't think that pro-lifers actually exist. That's not a real thing. They say they exist, but they don't. These are pro-birthers. These are people that only want pro-birth. They want livestock instead of partners. They want an actual breeding program instead of the opposite sex, the other genders, wives, women, people that can carry children, because it's not just women. There are all types of people that can give birth. That's, I'm making that clear as well. It is absolutely about control. It is absolutely about ethno-religious, like white Christian state power grabs. Like, it's all of that tied in. And when I say I don't think that there are pro-lifers, it's like, well, you're looking at it right here. Think about the lives of this woman and her family that she already has and wants to continue to grow. That's not pro-life. That's pro-birth. And when people say, oh, well, it's life immediately, it's like, I just fundamentally don't believe that. I think that if we talked to people logically and gave them sort of like the trolley problem for the abortion conversation, it's like, someone explained it to me once in a way that really resonated with me, which is if you had a jar that had viable embryos in it and a baby in the other hand, and you said, I'm going to throw one of these out the window, something in you nudges toward the thing that is there. And so don't tell me they're the same. They're not the same.
Yeah.
This is about oppression, and it's disgusting and it's awful. And there's that trailer for that movie that came out this week, Alex Garland's new film, Civil War, that has a new state formed by Texas and California called the Western Alliance or something like that. Let me tell you right now, that would never happen. That is science fiction, because this stuff happens.
Yeah, that's interesting that California. Well, there'd be a lot of parts of California. There'd be like coastal California would stay in the U.S. and like inland California would be like, we'll join with Texas. Some great comments in here. Yeah, Noah Olson saying they're pro-life until they have to coexist with said life. Yeah, funny you mentioned Carlin. Carlin has a bit from one of his specials when he came out, kind of firing bullets about this kind of stuff of what it is. So it unravels and again, it's I had this conversation with some people in my life from my family in my past of, again, like with a lot of these issues, you think life begins at conception. A lot of other religions say at first breath. So what makes yours the legal option over anything that they believe? That's the crux of the problem. It's the argument, and we're going to get into it. It's the argument of Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays. If I know you're a Merry Christmas person because you celebrate, I'll probably say Merry Christmas to you. But in general, I'm going to say Happy Holidays because there's people that don't celebrate it. So just on a simple emotional level, that's how all this works for me. And I hate to boil it down there to that kind of simple things, but that to me was all that displayed on a very high level this past week, and a very tragic level. And I wish the best for Kate and her family, because none of this is easy. It was there before the grace of God go I. And I truly can't wait to. I still believe in some sort of afterlife, and I can't wait for people like Ken Paxton to get there with a big smile on their face and have it wiped right off. actual truths that they're hit with. I think that might happen. I have to hold on to that, Alden.
Yeah, if there is a hell, it is becoming increasingly clear who goes. And just as a final note on this, on all of
Mhm.
these problems of the religious overreach and can the literal highest office in the land commit a crime, and do women have rights, and all these questions that we should not have to ask. It is increasingly horrifying to me to look back on a lot of the literature that I
Mhm.
studied in some of my favorite English classes and things, dystopian stuff. And I think I've talked to you about this off air, but it's like we were always told and promised through these stories, even Star Wars, that it would be very quiet, shadowy, Machiavellian people that really were brilliant and knew what they were doing and used that brilliance for evil, and had surgical level precision in terms of their machinations. And to see it happen loudly, stupidly, cartoonishly is just it shakes me to my core to know
Mhm.
that we can have Handmaid's Tale type realities,
Mhm.
but with none of the effort that those fictional villains put into creating that state.
It's I think yeah, some of yeah. I was pulling in another Padme reference, but Thunderous Applause we already made today. But yeah, and it's stunning to me when having these conversations with family members or friends who just they get on the doorstep of some sort of realization that, oh gosh, maybe not necessarily I'm on the wrong team, because as they, no team is perfect, and they love pointing that out, right? I know Trump's bad, but you did Biden, great. You think it's an equal comparison. Awesome. We're having a wonderful conversation. But I've had this conversation recently about predatory capitalism, and I've had some family members get on the door of being, oh my God, you're right. It did start with the Powell decision, the Powell letter in 71, 72 range. It did pick up with Reagan. Oh my God, we did this. And then they pull back. And just call it, to go to this weird moral place. Well, everyone's greedy. Cool. How about vote for some politicians who might be willing to do something for it? And I understand that sometimes it seems it's hard to find those people because capitalism is so entrenched in our government. Because at one point, the Democrats, after losing a bunch of elections and not having great candidates, were like, all right, F it, we'll play that game too. Come on in here, super PACs, all that kind of stuff. So it's all complicated and painful and tragic. And isn't that fun covering the news?
It's wonderful. It's delightful. And I wish I could say that things are going to suddenly pick up into a brighter tone. It'll be a slightly lighter conversation as we move into a few different things here. But
Yeah.
end of the year brings out a lot of reflection. And so I guess that's what I'm saying, is that we will talk about something like Christmas shopping, and we will get frustrated about it because, again, we hold all these things in our minds at the same time.
Yep.
That's just how it is. It's difficult, but we'll get through it together, friends. And thanks, everybody. I know we're not pulling up as many comments while you guys are saying some great things, but we could have never expected Palpatine would be a dipshit in real life. Yeah. Yeah.
I love this one by my buddy and bandmate, Old Handsaw. Today's GOP are more like the 70s Buck Rogers and the 25th century villains. Jack Palance, anyone? Yeah. Sci-fi has been telling us that maybe this is the way for years. But yeah, you're right, Alden. We've got a sonic change because we're going into our main topic, and you got us going through the trials of Christmas shopping, and I can't wait to dive on into this here.
Christmas shopping is something that, much like getting into physical good shape and being buff, is something that
I won.
You did. You actually got up and went for a hike before a long day of sitting in that chair doing great work. So you did more than I did. And I will say that, much like that, Christmas shopping is something that I say I'm going to be better about.
Right.
And then I never am. And I wanted to tackle it. I was, mulling over some topics this week, and I thought to myself, well, this is something that everybody probably rages about internally, but doesn't want to sound like the Grinch, even though the Grinch made some great points about people and being ostracized. It's not about Christmas.
I'm not saying I'd vote for him, but if I had to,
I would absolutely vote Grinch, and I hope that after the Whovilation that he considered a longer run. If you're not a rookie, you do your Christmas shopping in August like me, dumb months ago, know where he's going to holiday. Andy, I'm a rookie. I don't know what to tell you. I make the same mistake every year. So I wanted to start throwing this at you, somebody who had more of a classically nuclear family makeup than I did.
Yep.
Somebody who lived in a completely different part of the country than I did, who went to church more often than I did.
You're
What
right. I
was
am
it?
better than you.
You are. I am a godless East Coast heathen with a broken family, whereas you, the ideal man with your beard, the ideal American Ken Knapsack. That's what they should bill you as next time you go
The
out to rank.
ideal, yeah. The ideal man.
The ideal man. So I gotta know. Let's start with the approach. How did those early Christmases inform the way that you think about shopping and gift giving now? Have you taken anything from then to now, or have you completely bucked those trends and practices?
I unintentionally bucked it, and I look inward on myself and think I am actually a pretty horrible person. I can be really good with gifts of all reasons and seasons, but I also have been lazy. Also, for 17 years, worked in a job where literally I was at a mall every day during the holiday season. I just didn't have the time, energy, and at times money, most of the time money, to buy them. But it wasn't the way it was as a child for me. I was raised in that kind of traditional Christmas morning, Christmas Eve type of celebration, presents under the tree. Even though I'd found out years later, my parents, and I do give them credit for this, went out of their way to make it look like all things were normal when they were pretty struggling lower middle class, crushed by Reagan's 80s, but they still voted for him and still would again if he came back as a ghost and ran. But also because of my religious upbringing, it was also fascinating. I don't know if this exactly applies to your conversation, but I was told pretty matter of factly, there's no Santa, it's Jesus. That's the reason.
Wow.
It was like, so I was like a little second grade Kenny on the playground. My friends would be like, I hope Santa brings me Duke and Flint and Scarlet G.I. Joe figures. I'm like, Santa ain't coming, Britain. It's Jesus. Your dad bought the gifts with your mom wrapped them. Like I was that kid. Like I was just
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know if that changed anything.
But see, what's interesting about that is I also grew up without the illusion of Santa. I always knew that it was a thing, a ruse, a character. I always knew he was myth. But they never subbed in Jesus, even though my mother and my mother and my sister believe.
No hot tag to Jesus. They believe. Okay.
They believe. Yeah. Our family is historically Catholic and then, veered more into just non-denominational, but they believe in God more than I do, whereas I don't really. But they didn't say, but Alden, it's Jesus. They were just like, yeah, it's a time where we get together and, you can learn about it. And here we go.
Yeah.
But that's so fascinating.
We even at one, we didn't do this all the time. But one year I remember we baked a birthday cake for Jesus. I ate it, so I was happy to celebrate. I'm sure.
What kind of cake does Jesus eat?
Ironically, it was a brown chocolate cake, showing who Jesus really actually is compared to the white Jesus pictures hanging on our wall. But yeah.
Eric Clapton Jesus is not canon. The actual canonical Jesus was definitely a brown socialist, a topic that we can unpack maybe closer to his birthday. Now, in terms of receiving gifts historically, they're telling you about Jesus and everything, but are they handing you, your Ken or Star Wars and saying Christ got this? Like
literally, like, and I think some of it was done with humor. So I don't want to sound like I'm completely attacking my folks who again went out of their way to make my sister and I feel like we had something on Christmas morning. And also, by the way, they would almost for many Christmases in my youth, we would after gifts and everything, we'd get dressed and go to like homeless shelters and everything, or bring food and stuff to families that needed it. I give them credit for that. And I thought it taught me a lot early, but yeah, no, I got that all. But they would put on the packages. This is what I was saying with a bit of humor. It would say like to Ken from mom or dad, or to Ken from one of the dogs that we had at the time. And some of them would say to Ken from Jesus, as if Jesus was like, you know what? Ken really does need a Snake Eyes figure. He doesn't have one. Let me go
Yeah. Jesus took the same catalog that you looked at and was just like, oh man, they're doing the ad. That's fantastic. I got to get in on that. Now, how has that informed in terms of the makeup of like, you're the kid, but now you're grown, you have your fiance, your friends, your dogs. You don't have little ones running around that are not dogs. I should say you don't have human little ones. Who do you think should get gifts just as a concept? Because I've definitely moved into it's my sister's kids, the dog, and like my mother and sister, me, my mom, my sister, like gift cards. Like, who should get them? Because some people are like, God, their lists are long.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's a while, especially with birthdays too, but with Christmas, if you celebrate, like, and I would love to know if it's same for, getting 8 nights of, wonderful Hanukkah socks and stuff like that. I don't know if at one point you're just like, I don't need it. I don't need anything. I either treat myself during the year because I deserve it, or I treat myself during the year because I'm depressed and I can't afford it, but I swipe the credit card anyway. So anytime people ask me, I'm like, no, I've got everything I need. A gift card. I saw Kingsport Cal in chat. Gift cards are great. Send me a gift card. Love that. But when someone says that to me, Grace or anyone else, don't get me anything. I'm like, oh my God, that's a challenge to get them something.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that comes from and I don't want to, I'm not blaming this kind of thinking on Christmas capitalism. That'd be kind of a bridge too far for me. It's just kind of, it's a nice thought, right? It's a good thought behind it all. So I still hold to that where I'm like, I can't let them down, and I have to, a gift card. I got to find something that speaks to their soul, and that's where I fail. I fail in that regard.
So you think you set the bar not necessarily too high, but you move the bar into more of a personal place and put pressure on yourself. I get that. There have been moments where I'm like, I would love to get everybody, like, keep it budget friendly, which is the other component we'll talk about, but also personal. Like, one year I was like, I'm going to get everybody a paperback book about something that I think they'd like to read. But then you start to question yourself, like, will this person read? Will they know about the personal element that I thought I was drawing upon because they didn't actually open it?
Yeah.
So that's frustrating.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's interesting too, because you want to find out what they need, right? And I cannot tell you, I've received some books as gifts recently, and I literally been thanks, and I've walked back in my house, put them on a shelf, knowing I'll never read them. And I'm a book reader when I can. Me read good. So it's that fine line. But you're doing something from your heart there, so I respect that.
Yeah, it's comes from a good place, but then
I'd take a dime store paperback novel from you.
That's good. That's good. You actually would, I think, be an easy person to shop for in terms of.
You call me simple man?
I'm calling you one of them simpletons. No, it's because you wear your heart on your sleeve and you're very explicit about what you like. You're very clear, and you're also very clear about what interest of yours you are currently settled on. Like, you'll say, right now I'm on a Ken Burns kick. Right now, I'm on a Red Dead kick. Right now, I'm on a. So it's like, you're very clear about where you're at.
Yeah.
Which is in some ways diametrically opposed to the people that say, don't get me anything, and you don't know where the hell they're at.
Okay. That's a great point. I like that. You as well. But I wouldn't know what to get you. The gift of food, gift cards or something to a restaurant. But then even then, because like my mom is complaining, like she got a very nice gift card from some of her exercise class students, and she goes, "But it's a restaurant. I'm a vegetarian. They got me like a steakhouse." Like, you got to pay attention to the needs of the person a little bit, unless it's a generic Target. Yeah. I'm so excited! I hit my camera. Target card.
That's complicated too, because the gift of choice, I think, is one of the best things. It's powerful, but then you can whiff, with things like that. But then at the same time, even if it is people like us that know each other well, when you want to hone in on a thing, like it's hard to say with like you and I or other people we work with, like Joseph Scrimshaw, Jennifer Landa, Nikki Kumar, all these people that we are on the same level of nerd with. That makes it a little more interesting. But then there are people that know what we love, and I'm sure this happens to you, where they're like, "Hey, Ken, I know you love Star Wars. Just wanted to get you this little thing," and you're like, "Oh, the 8th one of those." But you really have to play it up. It's like when someone got me at I think it was Secret Santa, either in high school or right after high school. They knew I liked Kiss, and they were like, "Here's Kiss Greatest Hits," and I'm just like, "Oh my God, thank you."
Was it Scotty who wants to buy me a signed Vinnie Vincent?
Yeah, I don't know how long that Vinnie Vincent photo would last, Scotty. I think it would be like, "Oh, thanks, trash."
Look, man, I'm a Peter Criss guy, Okay. Got nothing to lose, oh baby.
Bob.
I was going with somewhere with that too. God, and then Peter Criss. The thought of Peter Criss and his music just kind of swept me away there. I love that. at the end of the day, at the end, and there's an odd pressure to it, right? That's where you do go to this. It's not quite a system of harm, but Western Christmas has definitely created probably a lot of stress and undue pain for a lot of people who try to keep up with this ideal, where the simple things are probably what works. And being in public safety for so long and working so many Black Fridays and seeing just the madcap, insanity that those kind of situations bring out in people, all for what? Because you want to give someone a VCR. Because I was working that long that we were selling VCRs back in the day. Like, like it's none of this has heart to it.
No, and then that expands out into the money. Like you think about something like a VCR or a gaming console or whatever. And part of this is because I don't listen to the pros that get their gifts done in summer and fall. I don't listen to that, and I should. The money suck that is holiday shopping. The black hole on your wallet is so deeply frustrating because it compounds with the emotional exhaustion of the end of the year, which I definitely feel, with then feeling like, okay, my metaphorical gas is running out, but also like the actual gas of my life is running out here. Like what I eat on, what I pay my bills on is running out because I feel like I have to prove to somebody that should really know that I love them. And I think we do a good job of letting our loved ones know that we love them. I have to now prove that with a dollar figure. And God, it's frustrating. It's why, and there are people in the chat that are in group chats with me that can attest that I openly was like, look, if you all vote Secret Santa, I'll do it. But I'm abstaining from the vote and I really don't care. And I think it's annoying.
I don't. Yeah, Secret Santa and White Elephant gift sessions I'm bad at those. Did I ever tell you that? Did I ever say that story on a show we've been on?
No, please.
We had a family event, Christmas 2002 range, maybe 2003 range. I don't know, around then. And it was a big family gathering, which we no longer do anymore. It was one of the last ones we knew. My grandmother was passed away a little while after this event. It was kind of a send-off in a way, unspoken send-off. You know how that goes. And we did a family white elephant gift. Everyone bring it. And I brought a 1990 VHS cassette of the top movie trailers of the year that were coming out, like Magnolia, American Beauty, which I had in entertainment. I brought it because I was like, this is stupid. And then I got a Max Headroom like plastic mask and like plastic like suit, like a Halloween costume. Like, this is horrendous. This is a stupid gift. This is what we're supposed to like. None of this is serious, right? And I got there and I realized slowly that everyone had got like, fondue sets, crystals, glass sets and everything. And I was like, I've made a huge mistake. And I tried to slink out of there. And I saw one of my great uncles was like, he got the gift. He's like, why? And he just like put it on the ground and threw it away. I was like, yeah, I don't take any of that stuff seriously. Maybe I should. Maybe that's my problem. I don't take Christmas seriously, Alden.
And then at that point, you can't recuse yourself because they depended on you for the number. And so it's even, and then you can't leave someone giftless. And then it's a delicate ecosystem that just frustrates everyone involved. Everyone feels cheated. There's also white elephant rules that allow steals, which is just like, oh my God, let's just fight. Let's skip all this and just hit each other.
It's truly like, that's when, you realize capitalism or you either win or die has factored into so much of our lives. Like, I want your gift. I'm going to take it. It's mine. I want your land. I'll take it.
Absolutely true.
And you're speaking to a lot of the pressures of the season that and outside of making any jokes or commentary on certain reasons for the season, all that kind of stuff, I still contend that despite any of that stuff, which can be debated or misused or misinterpreted, the spirit behind it all is something that I still enjoy. The fact that there's a season or a day that we focus on each other or other people or being nice, like that. That's not a bad thing. The world does need that a little bit more. It's just amazing how we continue to mess that up. So I try to focus on the real reasons. But I feel it too. I'll probably let down Grace this year. It's been a bad year for me. I can't get her the Barbie dream house that she wants, and not literally, but I feel bad about that. I'm also working. I'm doing a show. I'm traveling on Christmas. So it's like it's a work day for me almost, and so I feel bad, and I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I still feel bad.
Yeah, it's that feeling of like, you know, that she's not going to guilt you over it, but the
No,
guilt exists anyway.
I'm gonna guilt
Um,
myself.
have you, as having a longtime partner that you have
Mhm.
a home with and a life with, do you come to like partners handshake agreements over what type of year it's going to be in terms of gifts?
Not necessarily, but maybe just kinda is known, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
This year's gonna it's, we're gonna have a fun time up in Seattle as I do shows. She's coming with me, and that'll kind of be the trip, just chance to get
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Are you both outright usually about what you want in Christmas and in general? Like,
No,
do you ever go up to Grace and say, "I would like a new jacket"?
no. Oh, it's funny that well, how would you know? That was my Christmas gift 2 years ago. I had a nice
No.
jacket with a fur, like not fur, but like a fleece, that little white puffy, kinda
Yeah, yeah,
denim.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm bad. I'm bad. I don't know. Like, if you were to ask me off air, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I don't pay my electricity bill. Like, I don't. Again, I really feel as though, to my discredit, I don't stop myself from getting anything I want during the year. If I really feel I need it, these headphones. I got these little monitors because I was like, I need that for the show. It's gonna cost
Mhm.
me a little bit. I'm not gonna get tomorrow. I'm gonna have crackers. I'm gonna have saltine and soup for dinner and lunch, so I can get these headphones. But I got them, so now you don't need to get me these headphones.
Yeah, I'm very similar in that way. It's like if I need it, I'll try to get it, save for it, whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of some of the comments here, Scotty tuning in, his lovely wife, Katie. My wife makes wish lists, but I do go off base things I've seen her like or share with me. See, that's smart. Use
Yeah.
social media to your advantage. Like, oh, did she post about, I really like, this book. I really like this necklace. Whatever it is.
Mhm.
Do that with any of your friends, partners.
Yeah.
Uh, these, Jerry, those games with actual fondue glassware gifts are boring.
Boring. I agree
they
with Jerry.
they needed your gifts. A whole Ken themed white
Yeah.
elephant is needed.
Yeah. I'd rather, I want to be at a holiday party with like Jerry, Andy, Scotty, you. I want to open up a package and it's like a vibrating, dildo from Andy. And he's like, "This is what the season's about." This is what the season's about. That's what I want.
Boy, do I have a lightsaber to recommend for you.
Yeah. I want
Uh,
Jerry to go, I got you a TomTom that you don't need.
yeah. See, this would love this life-size Watto.
Yeah.
Unironically, yes, I would.
Yes.
Yeah, I think look at this. So being a broke college student already sucked. Buying the gifts just much harder. Yeah, it's people. You would hope that the people in your life have empathy for where you're at and
Yes.
understand what you're doing. Like I'm a young guy, I just turned 28. I don't have much money. My mother said, "Dude, just take care of your nephews. Like I don't need anything."
Yeah.
But it's of course it's my mother. She's saying I don't need anything. It's still my mother. Like
Yeah.
you're still gonna have to. But it's nice that she said it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kingsport Cal still has a fondue kit from the early 90s. If it's a classic, it's a different story. If it's if it's a collector fondue set.
Ken Plume. It's a fondue set and a sex game. You know what? With the right imagination.
and Andy, they're telling me they would give me the hookup, and I really appreciate that. There you go. Christmas and vibrators. We've discussed it all. Anything left
From Jesus.
From Jesus to gift cards to vibrators. It's the season for giving.
The holiday season is a time where you really discover yourself, and maybe we'll do some real discovering of ourselves as this one goes on. But that's all I got for Christmas. Just wanted to vent a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't get as wrathful as maybe I thought I would, perhaps because the top half of the show was already heavy, but it really does frustrate me a lot. I want to make that clear to everybody. If you know me and you love me and you want to do like a gifts thing with me, don't. Let's just have a great conversation.
Same. Just like and subscribe. All right, we are we're almost on to our next segment here, but I do want to take a break. Speaking of capitalism and the selling of my wares, folks, we previewed it last week, but now we can say it is live today. That's right. The album from the Moon Agers, the 7-song EP, Broken Pieces, and What Remains is here. There you go. 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 Our album is out, and you know what? I've like I said, I've had one of those. It's not been my best year. Got to do some great things this year, to be clear, but not been my best year. But it ends with a rock and roll bang, man. Our album is out. It's great to see it on all the streaming services that will definitely pay us our fair share. But if you want to support us directly, go to Bandcamp, themoonagers.bandcamp.com. That's a true good way to support independent artists. Though, you know, Bandcamp eventually, you know, has been swallowed up by another company. So eventually it might not be the place. But for now it is. For now it is.
Yeah. And can I just say, first of all, congratulations. And secondly, I love the name of the band, which is an extremely hard thing to do. I actually had a band names tangent with a lot of our friends, some of whom here are in the comments earlier this week, about how difficult it is to name one. You know, yours, of course, when you read it, it gives the Moonage daydream sort of feel. The Moonagers, I just think has such a like aspirational energy to it, like a dreamy sort of like looking up literally when you think about it. And that's a hard thing to do because you think about the great bands, we mentioned Kiss, like they were Wicked Lester before they were Kiss.
You Wicked Lester indeed. Yeah. Before they became Knights in Satan's Service. Yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow on my radio show, Pop Rockin' Radio on Mixcloud, 6 p.m. Pacific, Sean Arnold, aka Old Handsaw here in chat, and Brian Tiller, the man whose voice you hear on there on the songs. We're going to be doing a kind of a listening party and maybe sharing some of these stories. Don't want to give all the secrets away to the art, but yeah, it was anything. We had a long list. Everyone had some great ideas. Sean's are real funny and wry and irreverent, and then we had some more generic ones. We're in different states, so the idea of let's call ourselves virtual was kind of how this all started, and that would have been fine. But yeah, I know the Moonagers, it just because this is what teenagers do is form a band. But we're older than teenagers, and it seemed dreamy anyway. So I'm such a David Bowie mark that it just the reference worked for me as well. And eventually, and like any band name, I'm really glad you said you liked it because the Beatles is a great example, but the Simpsons covered it with the B Sharps episode. It's got to be kind of silly and stupid, and you don't like it, but at the end, it's just the only answer, and that's kind of where we went with that.
Yeah, no, 100% works. So Ken, you have an EP people can buy this holiday season. You have a book that people can buy this holiday season, and I've got I don't know the advice.
You got this show. You got this show.
I do.
It's more than most people, right? No, absolutely.
I do. Like and subscribe if you want to get me something, as Ken has said. Now, moving into some entertainment news. Normally, we do some quick fire stuff that's more light, poppy movie news, things like that. It's only 2 stories today, and we want to take some time to acknowledge one of the great, just wonderful performers, the dearly departed now, Andre Braugher, one of many people's favorite actors, and the news of his passing hit while I was on air doing something, and or we were recording something, our tabletop RPG series, Ionized Bastards, plug, and I really was just rattled by it because 61 is too young, and when you hear, it was a quick, nasty fight with lung cancer that he only found out a couple months ago, and a lot of people knew. It just really reminds you sort of your own mortality. It reminds you of his work here. I just picked 3 of his most iconic roles, of course, in Glory and Homicide as Frank Pembleton, and then as where I knew him most from as Captain Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, one of my favorite shows, one of my top 2 comedy series of all time. And I just wanted to share why these people are important. You don't know them, and it is parasocial, and we've talked about sort of the dark side of that before on the show. But the light side of that is that I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine with somebody who is not in my life anymore, and we watched most of the show together on the couch, cackling, dying laughing, and all this stuff. And that time of my life ended before the show did. And then I never finished the show until one day, amidst tears and just sadness and depression, I thought I should go back and I should finish it. And so I sat by myself, and because of the work of people like that, I was like, oh, you can put things back together. you could start to rebuild things just because he's hilarious in that show and so full of life. And to hear and read the tributes, when you realize that an artist is the other artist's favorite artist, you're like, wow, in the same way that people talk about, who's an actor's actor, who's a musician's musician, a comedian's comedian. To hear people like Jeffrey Wright and Viola Davis and all of his B99 co-stars and Carrie Elwes, who was in Glory as well, to people say he was the best, and we all knew that he was the best. Just really like incredible, but also too finite.
Yeah, when Lance Reddick passed away recently, right? That was kind of a similar kind of feel of, no, this is impossible to comprehend, and it's the realities of life. Obviously, we get that, but I'm with you. He's one of those favorites for a lot of folks, and I'm one of those. I was joking with you off air, but I'm one of those white people that love Glory. Like the movie Glory is one of my all-time favorites, and for a lot of folks it was like an 8th grade history watch, right? And for me that was the case, but I was in 8th grade when Glory came out, and we got told, we got assigned to go to the theater and see it, and that was like his first on-camera role. I think Ed Zwick posted that yesterday, which is insane to think. And it was just, he was so good, and Denzel's Denzel and Matthew Broderick and Carrie Elwes and all this. But man, like he was like everyone's secret from that movie, right? And you'd see him in other things, and it would be, for a while, it was like, it wasn't Andre Braugher, it was like the Glory guy. And that's my introduction to him. And it was just, and he only got better from then, which is crazy. Well, the bar was already so high. Yeah. And it's okay. And I think it's okay to be affected by this stuff. It's okay to be affected, because what you're describing is not just an actor doing his work on a show that you love. There was a time of your life. That's why art's important. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit here, of why art and creativity and how it smashes up against business. And that's a reality, but how art can, I really do believe art is struggling to survive right now. And what you're talking about is a network TV show that absolutely hit you at a time of your life, and he's part of that, if not, one of the main reasons. And that's why we have this stuff. And so it is parasocial, and there's a dark side to it. Totally get that, but I think it's also as powerful as it should be when someone like you affects your life.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say is, for those who haven't watched his work and you wanted to watch something light and inspirational, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just as a show, it sort of avoided the pitfalls a lot of the times of what is often called propaganda, of we're going to tell these gritty street stories, but they're infallible and nothing ever goes wrong. Captain Raymond Holt was a black out gay man leading his precinct, openly talking about how the institution that he was a captain in hated him and never wanted him to get that high, never wanted him to hold that office. And there are lots of flashbacks where they would put Andre in like a mustache and an afro, and like there's a lot of comedy with it. But he has the pride flag on his desk throughout the show. You meet his husband in the show. They talk in the final seasons about can the black characters and the other people of color in the 9-9 continue with everything that's going on. And so he put his soul into everything from episode 1 to the final episode, and used his art for positivity. And so Andre Braugher, we miss you. 9-9 for life.
Yeah.
Give him
yeah, indeed.
The best. Indeed. So moving into something less weirdly less personal, but also very personal in terms of working in this industry. You ever hear of Hasbro?
Looking at my shelf. Yeah.
Hasbro. Yeah. Looking at my shelf. Hi, Attack of the Clones Anakin with poncho from the vintage collection. I love you. It is a dark time for the toy industry overall. And we are not, I should say, I am not a toy expert. I don't know if you feel that you are, but I know we know some toy experts.
Yeah, no, I know a couple toy experts. Check out my buddy Ken Plume show, Force 5 on his YouTube channel. My buddy Mike Black, follow him on Instagram. Yeah, those are people who I feel can talk to you about the toy industry. Yeah, and the inner workings of it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to run through the facts, some bullets here, some numbers. Hasbro layoffs right before the holidays, which is just such an American thing that happens way too often in the
Mhm,
radio industry. The bloodlettings also are during winter, and
mhm.
it's just disgusting. Hasbro's CEO Chris Cox, not spelled with an X, not so you cannot hide behind the X. Chris Cox, you are Chris Cox.
Born to
Revealed
be a villain.
plans. You are just actively a heel, Chris Cox. Revealed plans to axe 1/5 of its roughly 6,400 employees via an internal memo to
Mhm.
staff inside of a regulatory filing. They'll be doing this over the next 6 months. We should note Cox himself makes $1.5 million a year. That's his on paper salary. That's what he was hired. That's his rate as CEO. He's been CEO since February 2022. Short run so far. But of course, what did he actually make? More like $9.5 million. 9.4 is what he actually takes home. So just keep that in the back of your mind when we're talking about money management and
Mhm.
where's it all going and why don't we have as much as we thought we had. There's literally $8 million
Yep.
that just disappeared because Cox needed more.
This is a serious story that has directly affected people I know. I'll talk about that in a second. But Jared the Dark Jedi's comment just got me almost Jimmy Fallon laughing. Chris Cox, more like Dixtifer. You can't do that to me, Jared. You can't do that to me.
Dick Stiffer. Yeah. Big Lou here. All my D&D
Like,
content
look,
creators been up in arms about the story all week.
yeah,
That is in large part why it's close to our circle, and in your case, Ken, your immediate friend group, close relationships outside
yeah.
of work.
Yeah, I'll keep the names out. One of my very close friends is still employed. He's a higher level employee now, but he had to say goodbye to friends that he hired this week, and quite frankly, who knows how much longer it's going to last for him too. And this just looking at your notes, these are great notes, Alden. This goes into so many conversations and so many things that have been on my mind. What I call this predatory capitalism, and look, yeah, I'll say that 1.5 million. I was like, well, that's pretty low for a CEO. Oh, I see. He's okay. And that story that went around, and I don't know all the details of it. And I be careful of what you quote. That's a meme on the internet. But that story that went around the time of this news breaking of the Nintendo CEO years ago when Nintendo had a bad year and he cuts his pay for the rest of the year 50% or 60%, and the top 3 designers and they cut their pay, and no employees' jobs are lost. I'll say I don't know how true the story is. It's something you see while you're scrolling, but I'm sure there's some truth to it, and there's other cases where you can see that. I'm not, and this is me, not you. I'm not saying that I want to go into Chris Cox's pockets and pull out money and hand it to the employees. I'm not necessarily saying that, but there's certainly some sort of honor in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks before Christmas, and Etsy just did it. Etsy, 11% employees. Spotify the week before, or a couple weeks before. Hasbro now. General Motors this week as well. It speaks to so much stuff, and even the stuff. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Pull it back from me if you need it. But like this idea of the offices, and there's definitely this issue of all these companies have these fancy expensive offices, but the world has changed, and can you go back? Should you go back? And what are you going to do
Yep.
with all these spaces, and how it just speaks to so many different bigger pictures.
Absolutely. And you're right that all these notes, I mean, this comes after 800 cuts in January. So let's really make winter the most awful, anxiety ridden battlefield of all time for these people. Vacating the office in Providence now because we just hate the remote hybrid working. So we're just going to vacate the entire thing because it's not worth the real estate investment if our employees aren't sitting there all the time where we can see them. And there's all
Yeah.
these things that end up happening, and like this mysterious money, all these things. And also we should note where your friend works, where the real success has been is where these cuts happen. Wizards of the Coast,
Wizards of the Coast, yeah.
yeah, their D&D parent and also their Magic parent, they're under that umbrella, which has had, due to things like your critical roles and your D20s and just the rise of actual play and the communities that have been birthed, a renaissance. D&D, this thing has been around since the 70s, is experiencing growth, and it was touted in January as the breadwinner. He's like, toys are hurting. That is an issue since COVID. And even before COVID, toys were hurting. And now this is our thing. And then you go after that thing while you are getting 8 more million is just insane. And what you mentioned about Nintendo, I haven't, sourced it, but I believe that wholeheartedly, because the Mario game that just came out has all but one of the original Mario designers on its team. Their longevity is unheard of in games and entertainment. Unheard of.
Yeah, and you're saying some great stuff, and I don't know all the details of it. My friend's just absolutely devastated, so I haven't had a conversation. But I've been talking with him throughout the year, and all the I think Jared's making some of the references to some of the to some of the problems that Hasbro had once they took over this company. They bought it, but that's the other big thing. This is one of the things I was talking about with my own parents this week, about some of my own struggles and the destruction of social media, the fracturing of it, where I can't forget me getting new listeners or followers of my programs and my art. I can't get the people that already know me to listen because they can't find me. We're so destructive, but companies coming in and buying things and then destroying them it's a joke now, but the joke is 20% of workers are gone because of this. Spotify buys Anchor, finally, eventually just destroys it till it's not a workable, profitable thing for podcasters to be on it. Hasbro coming in and buy this stuff. It goes on and on and on and on. I don't even know or need to provide all the lists right now. We've lived it. And this is what the big thing is too. They effed up a good thing already. I left long before, but when fandom comes in and saves Screen Junkies, it would have gone away. They saved it, but then they systematically destroyed it after promising not to. Honest Trailer still exists, but everything else squashed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what to do about that. It's mind-boggling because you see it again. And I made the joke about Bandcamp. Bandcamp got swallowed up, and eventually Bandcamp is going to, and where you go to survive or create or share your art with the world, it's in danger. It truly is in danger.
It really is. I mean, it's an existential threat against the way that things are done, the way that things are run. And when you can, it's the fact that we've allowed these people in power. And again, I say we allowed it with the royal we. I'm not saying that anybody is, of course, directly responsible, but collectively, societally, we've allowed people to talk out of both sides of their mouths and say things like, congratulations, breadwinners. Thank you for everything. Unprecedented success. The only thing helping us through, on top of the fact that your collaboration with outside partners produced things like Baldur's Gate 3, which become ungodly levels of success, game of the year everywhere, perfect scores. You are also going to be the ones cut because reasons. Like that's when it gets really like, it's time. Like you said, I'm not sure about, do we need to reach into I will say, I think we absolutely should be. Like, you should not be able to exceed your salary and do things like this. That is just completely morally just like repugnant and just assigned to me. It just blows my mind that it's allowed to happen.
Yeah, great comments coming in the conversation. Jared, the Dark Jedi record profits usually equal stolen wages. Ken Plume, a toy expert, saying eliminating those necessary to make the products rather than these execs responsible for the poor decisions leading to lousy economic performances. Ongoing pathetic cliche of late stage capitalism. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And you see it time and time again. And I don't know. We'll stop. I don't know. I can't wait till some corporation comes in and buys Anytime, and I can finally say, cut Alden, please.
Yeah, let's destroy it. We're gonna go to Anytime Plus and Anytime Gold, and they're gonna be two different shows in a heated rivalry. Yeah, and I mean, and not to poke any old wounds or tell tales out of school, but like, you've been there multiple times, man, and like, there's the consistency of it's always like, it's money people, it's a crypto guy, it's a this person, it's a secret bonus here and there, and they always seem to have, whether it's crypto guys in LA or all the way up to Zaslav, they seem to actively hate the businesses that they are in.
Actively hate it and not understand the creativity, but think they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the struggle. They think they do. And look, we all need a money man at points in our lives. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't have that capital, so we need you, and you're covering my paychecks. But then you're actively got your little sticky, pudgy fingers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I could go on in some personal stories that I don't want because we have to, wrap up the show one of these days. But yeah.
Anytime Plus Premium. We sometimes do Your Week Ahead.
Yeah.
This right here is the Your Week Ahead. Anytime Plus Premium will launch next week. And we're going to paywall everything after the intro.
I love it. Yeah. You get the first 10 seconds free. Join the mug club, whatever. Love that. I always, when we were building another channel from friends of mine, we always used to get told, like, look at this person. They're doing it great. They don't need a corporation. They have a, exclusive club you join on their website. So we modeled a lot of it off of that. And then you go to that channel and it was always some alt-right Nazi asshole that couldn't get on any other platform. So all the alt-righters bought their mugs and supported the channel. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Your Week Ahead, Alden will try to figure out how he could trick the alt-right into funding this show and it not change at all.
There you go.
Hasbro is woke? Question mark? Give me your money.
Give me your money. Yeah. So much. It's sad. Yeah, it's an ongoing story and it's not going to be the last one. And now there's all these people back into an already crowded job market in this industry. I know we're seeing signs of economic recovery and all this kind of, but it's in areas that don't affect us right now. I'll say it. I'm glad to see the numbers go up. It's good when it comes to election time. I hope it's good, but yeah, I'm currently trying to look for work too, and it's not there. It's not there in the way it used to be.
Yeah, the qualifications. I mean, you and I have both been executive producers, senior producers, managers, content people, whatever. And I got a day job. I hate it, but I need it. And you've had day jobs.
Success is like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So not to go out on such a bummer note, but if anybody has questions or anything that can liven the mood.
Absolutely. Take us home with your questions. Any super chat questions that we can highlight on are appreciated, but not needed to join the conversation. We'll be here for a couple of minutes and get ready. And next week, we should no show next week. I'll be traveling, and Alden, you're going to take some time off because you deserve it. You've had a tough year as well. The last few months have been particularly tough for you. So, we're giving each other the gift of time off next week.
Maybe I'll do a show unadvertised, just log in, go live, and just talk and let people say, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. We'll do a poetry slam.
There you go. A nice poetry slam. Ken Plume says the problem is most CEOs have absolutely no loyalty to the companies they're running. Their corporate guns for hire, ultimately more concerned with their personal finances. 100%. I believe Iger has, I'm sure he's worn a mouse ears hat and enjoyed a churro at Disneyland at some point. I think he's got some degree of loyalty to that company, but it's only for his purposes,
Mm-hmm.
And he's maybe one of the only quote unquote good examples, but I think Plume's really right on something. As so many people have come through, they're just trying to show that they can build this brand up financially, stock wise, so they can they can cash out and get the next job. That's part of the problem too.
Absolutely. When I was working at iHeart, which is where I started my professional career.
Great.
Bob Pittman, the CEO, came in and he was there when MTV started, and then he was at Six Flags for a while, and then he's back at broadcast. Like these people don't have fields. Mm-hmm. Their field is CEO, which is essentially sometimes feels like a made up position.
Yeah. Questions coming in here right now. I'll answer this one up top. King Sporkhouse says, you and Josh still hang out? No, but that's because Josh McCouga moved. So Josh doesn't live in LA anymore. He lives in Northern California, but by strange coincidence, he's in town, and I will be having dinner with him and Mark Ellis tonight, and probably hanging out at the Comedy Store. So yeah, it's going to be good to see Josh. It's been a while, but yeah, life kind of took him up in another direction, so we don't talk as much as we used to. But love my Joshykins, and I'm going to see him tonight. So that's a great timely question, King Sport Gal. All right. Ken Plum's got this one on a lighter topic. What's your go-to treat around the holidays? Alden, I don't know this. What is your treat to go seek solace in?
So, speaking of companies that are actually doing it right and have been doing it right my whole life, Little Debbie's. I don't know who owns Little Debbie's. Is that a
Hasbro.
Hostess thing?
It's
Is it Hasbro? They killed Little Debbie. I've always been a snack cakes guy, like
Snacky
to my
cake. Yeah.
detriment.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, zebra cakes, top
Yeah.
tier. That's
Okay.
my S tier snack.
Yeah.
So when the Little Debbie snack cake trees come out with the little sprinkles on them, I'm
Mhm.
all about it. But I'll tell you, somebody sent us. I got a package the other day here at the Casa Alden, and God, that's so shameful. I'm a Puerto Rican that I said Casa. And
I was like, that's not how you say it. Here's how I say it to the waiter at my favorite Mexican restaurant. Casa. Like, and he says, sure, whatever.
Ah. And we received some chocolate covered goods, and let me tell you, a milk chocolate covered pretzel might actually be divine.
Yeah.
That's my obsession right now.
I don't hear that often. That's a good one there. I don't chocolate covered pretzels. Is not, I like pretzels and I like chocolate. I don't love them together, but I do enjoy them. So that's the thing. Ken Plum agrees with you. Christmas cakes for life. Zebra cakes are great too. Yeah. My go-to like holiday thing. I am an eggnog fiend only during like December 1st to December 25th. But I don't spike. I know a lot of people when I say eggnog, they think, oh, rum and everything. No, I like, the cartons at the end of the end caps at Ralph's and Kroger's and Safeway and grocery stores. I just buy those and I just have a couple glasses during the week. It's something I loved as a kid, and it reminds me of that time, and it reminds me of the season, and I get excited. We don't do Christmas. We love Christmas decorations in our neighborhood. We'll go look around, but we don't do them. I just don't have the work or the electricity in our house to do it. But when I turn the corner of the grocery store and it's eggnog time, it's a little joyous bump for my soul.
Something huge just happened. Just happened.
What's that?
This is my mother. My mother is watching the show. It was Josh Early Candies where the pretzels came from.
That's amazing. She's checking in on Facebook. By the way, we should mention on my Facebook page, we're live all the time too, my pro page. And I guess with StreamYard, we can even go live on Instagram now. All right. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, so that's my go-to. That's your go-to. Great question from Mr. Plume as always. And then I saw another one there. We got a super chat. Want to shout out this from Big Lou. Check out Big Lou's Clubhouse and all his work as well. The Max website is a pink sparkle mouse cursor in honor of Barbie dropping a Max. So that's positive. Oh, that's great. I can't wait to rewatch Barbie. I've not seen it since I saw it in the theater, and it's one of my favorite experiences seeing a movie of all time. So that's exciting. I'm gonna check that out maybe later tonight before I go hang out with Josh and Mark.
Are you prepared for a lifetime of people asking you to do I'm Just Ken at karaoke bars? Like Scum and Villainy in LA has karaoke. Like, are you ready for that?
I don't go there as much. They do have good tater tots. I don't participate in karaoke, even though I kind of maybe secretly want to, but maybe. Yeah, I'll say this. I have spent my entire life, and maybe my buddy Ken Plume in chat will we're a couple of Kens. My entire life has been a Barbie joke. It's happened so many times, except the one time I had an insurance agent for my car about 20 years ago. Her name was Barbie. And I went to the office. I was like, this is great, right? She's like, what? I was like, Ken Barbie. And she just was like, anyways, do you want the full coverage on your you and I finally we get to do this after everyone going, oh, your name's Ken, where's Barbie? Like I used to get that all the effing time.
Yeah,
all the fucking time. And I finally was around to Barbie. She didn't take it.
I think the thing about that poor innocent human is that whatever pain Ken's feel for her must be amplified to the nth degree. Like she has to have never had a moment of peace in her life.
Yeah.
Especially if you are an actual Barbara out there who goes by Barbie and you are a white blonde woman, like it's over for you. Your parents created you to be a product.
It's over. Yeah. Star Wars: The Galaxy says, "Hi, Ken. Hi, Barbie." I'll say this though, and I don't go around advertising that I'm a Ken, though I do want the I'm Knuff shirt. I want it in black with that. It's hard to find one in black with the print. But if I see someone dressed as Barbie, like that day around the time the theater came out, the movie came out in the theaters, Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank is right next to the big AMC. Christopher Nolan's theater of choice when in LA. And I would see so many like just young kids and young girls dressed up as Barbie. I made a point if I was in earshot to say, "Hey, Barbie. Hi, Barbie." Like I wanted them to have that. It was fun. I didn't go. Also, I'm Ken, by the way, but I just keep going. I'm a stranger in a strange land. I'm going to keep going.
You didn't show up with your mink and your headband and your rippling tan abs. That'll be for the next holiday.
That's the
next Halloween season.
I'll get
yeah, it's lovely. Thanks for shouting that out. I will be rewatching that. It's a lovely film, wonderfully directed, and Greta Gerwig is a queen.
Love that. All right. I think that's about it for us as we wrap up this segment and go on to our final segments of the day. We'll do a Your Week Ahead next time out because I forgot to think about what I'm going to predict. But as always, we do a pop rock word of wisdom. I have like 2 hours more broadcasted to do today.
It was the hike, man. It was the hike.
It was the hike. A pop rock word of wisdom to leave on, sponsored by Pop Rockin' Radio. And tomorrow night on Pop Rockin' Radio on Mixcloud, 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll be having a Moon Ages listening party. Join us for that one. But our pop rock word of wisdom today is Patty Donahue of The Waitresses, the late, great Patty Donahue. That's right. Bah humbug. No, that's too strong because it's my favorite holiday. But all this year's been a busy blur. Don't think I have the energy to add to my already mad rush. Just because it's 'tis the season. The perfect gift for me would be completions and connections left from last year. Ski shop, encounter, most interesting. Had his number, but never the time. Most of anyone passed along those lines. So deck those halls, trim those trees, raise up cups of Christmas cheer. I just need to catch my breath. Christmas by myself this year. Now, if you know that classic song released in 1981 by the new wave band The Waitresses, you know it ends up good for the lead singer in the song. She ends up running into that guy. You're out of cranberries too. And it's happy ever after. But I think, Alden, that is the spirit we're taking into this holiday, this big Christmas day next week. Whether you spend Christmas alone this year, we've all been through it. It's all blurred past us real fast, and there's some heavy burdens still hanging on all of us. And it's okay just to say, I need to catch my breath. Christmas by myself or with those that matter this year.
Absolutely. I think that there is a certain serenity that comes with some reflection, solo or with pets. At the end of the year, I will be sitting up with Mando, my dog, watching the Doctor Who Christmas special, and just enjoying some calm because it was a very packed Thanksgiving season. And so we will now have the inverse. And I think that clarity is the name of the game.
Clarity is the name of the game. And that is it for this week. Alden, any final words as we round up our show this week and this year?
Yeah, if whether or not you're actually a Ken, like Ken here, Ken Knapsack, or Ken Plume, you are Ken-uff. Put that manly hand in mine. We're all going to be able to do it. You are just Ken, but find your identity, embrace your truth, don't depend on other people, and be a fully realized man without the patriarchy.
There you go. I second all of that. Lead with empathy, kindness, compassion. Have a cup of water before you broadcast live so your tongue doesn't stick to the roof of your mouth. But a lot of fun. This has been a fun launch of ANYTIME. We are not done yet. 2024, much more coming, including, we always say it, supplemental content, guests on the show, segments, more, so much. We appreciate all of you right here, right now. So that is it. Check out the Moon Ages. Go listen to some rock music, baby. Go check it out on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your music. That's it. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.